More on this now with Rebekah Koffler, strategic military intelligence analyst and author of Putin's Playbook. So President Trump seems to swing back and forth. One day Vladimir Putin is in his good graces. The next day it's Volodymyr Zelensky. What's going on with Putin right now, and why would he take the chance of angering President Trump by launching those attacks on civilian areas in Ukraine?
Well, it's really not President Trump's fault to keep shifting his strategy. He was not properly served by his advisors, who actually don't understand how Putin thinks and how he acts. He doesn't think and act like an American. The reason why Putin is playing hardball here is because he has all the leverage, and we unfortunately have no leverage whatsoever over Putin. Why does Putin have leverage? Because he transitioned Russian military and economy on a wartime footing 7 years prior to the invasion. And so Russia holds massive military advantage, not only over Ukraine, but over entire NATO alliance. And that is why Putin will not make any concessions, and he will continue to string President Trump along.
Well, you say that, we don't have leverage over Putin. Don't we have economic sanctions? Can't we, cancel more of the oil deals and the oil equipment that he needs to keep his economy somewhat afloat?
So let's look at this realistically. The conversation about the sanctions, tariffs, and economic warfare is nothing new. We have been sanctioning Russia for 10 years. We put very, very severe sanctions on them. But again, Putin is he's a bad guy, but he's a very strategic thinker and one of the smartest people out there. He sanction-proofed Russia's economy, again, 7 years prior to the invasion. He took several measures. He de-dollarized Russian foreign exchange holdings. He beefed up his sovereign wealth fund to an all-time high, and he launched an import substitution program that actually killed Russia's dependence on foreign technology. When you talk about secondary sanctions, right, on oil and all of these things, well, the United States does not import any oil from Russia. There's nothing to sanction here. You would have to convince the top 3 or 4 importers of Russian oil, which is China, India, European Union, and Turkey. My intelligence analysis reveals that India and China will not play ball with the United States. They have been doing by actually not buying Putin's oil. They actually are doing the opposite. Both China's and India's imports increased 40%. From about July, October last year. So there's nothing, and Russia only imports 3.5 billion in terms of trade to the United States. So there's nothing to tariff, and that is precisely why it hasn't changed Putin's behavior. And on top of that, Putin's decision-making on security has nothing to do with economic concerns, and Russian economy outperformed all the analysts' expectations, okay? That is why people need to start doing their homework on Russia, on Putin, before actually advising President Trump what is actually the art of the possible. And I've been saying the same thing. My intelligence analysis for 3 years is the same. Ukraine's victory is mathematically impossible over Russia. And so whatever we're doing right now is just basically like giving aspirin to a dead person, using a Russian expression. And so we wasted 350 billion, right, and have depleted our own weapons arsenal to dangerous levels by giving it to Ukraine, billions of dollars. And is that going to be another Afghanistan where it will take us 20 years and $2.2 trillion, as it did last time, to come to our senses and figure out what is possible? Let's just be realistic and not act on emotion. Yes, Putin's a bad guy, but he's a rational thinker, and we need to understand how he thinks. So, which is what my book explains, his thinking, Russian warfighting strategy, which I actually briefed to NATO in September 2013. I briefed President Obama's advisors, you know, 4-star commanders at Strategic Command that guards our nuclear weapons, NORTHCOM, EUCOM, you name it. And yet, neither Europeans nor the Pentagon prepared a counter strategy. And that's why President Trump, unfortunately, is in a very difficult situation right now.
You seem to
him.
Let me just interrupt for a second. You seem to get some agreement from Chuck Grassley, the Iowa senator, who said this on X. He said, "I've seen enough killing of innocent Ukrainian men and women. Women and children. President Trump, please put the toughest of sanctions on Putin. You ought to see from clear evidence that he is playing America as a patsy." You're saying that sanctions won't work?
It is my assessment that sanctions highly unlikely will not work, and I explained why they won't work.
Right. All right, so President Trump seems to have soured on Putin for now. What should the United States do in our last 20 seconds?
Well, it depends on what we want to do. He has 3 options, President Trump, and none of them are good. They're all bad. We can keep doing what we're doing, continue sending weaponry so that Russia can fight until the last Ukrainian, the last missile in Ukraine's NATO arsenal. We can just stop today, and Putin is going to accomplish faster what he wants to accomplish, and ironically, more Ukrainian lives will be saved by that, or we can just simply walk away and let Allah sort it out, as Sarah Palin used to say. I'm not trying to be, funny here, but the point I'm trying to make is that let's just stop all the emotion. It's because the same people who call Putin a murderer and a killer somehow are trying to appeal his morals and want him to make concessions. He doesn't. His decision-making is not based on morals at all. He's a cold, calculated former KGB officer. And so we need to study Russia as an intelligence community, national security community, and the team on President Trump who are trying to advise him. They need to understand Putin, they don't.
Rebekah Koffler, interesting analysis. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.